There's big cosmetic beauty brands moving into supplements. This kind of resembles what pharma industry did 10, 15 years ago, seeking new revenue opportunities in supplements. And also the tasting center was basically taken over by beauty from within products.
There's two groups of people. There's a medicinal use of the GLP-1 and vanity use, and they might be interested in natural alternatives to these ingredients. Just dive into them. There is a metabolate, which is a blend of lemon verbena and hibiscus. This complex was designed for weight management, and it also showed boosting of GLP-1 and improving energy metabolism. They also got the Vitafoods Innovation Award this year in the weight management category.
On the finished product side, we had also some more complex formulation that aimed to address multiple hallmarks of aging. One such was from Creatine, pretty comprehensive formula.
There were a lot of bidlets. I think this is a new direction for many ingredients to improve the bioavailability, but also from the organoleptic perspective.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the NutraLoop podcast by PharmaLinea. My name is Mateusz Ambrozic, and I'm the marketing director at PharmaLinea, and I'm joined here today by Ms. Weronika Pipan, who is the head of scientific support at PharmaLinea.
Hello.
Same as last year, Weronika and myself are going to do a review of Vitafoods Europe. This time it's 2026. And we're doing this because the show is becoming bigger and bigger. It's becoming more and more difficult to see everything. So we're helping you out a little bit by kind of compiling all the things that we see with the entire team scanning the show floor. And on the other hand, with the information we get from conversations at the stand itself, we're sharing a little bit of an insight into all of that, a kind of selection of what we thought was the most interesting new ingredients, the most interesting new products, strategies, technologies, and so forth. And we are going to go through a couple of topics, a couple of categories, which notably are not particularly radical, completely new or anything like that. There are existing categories for basically most of them long-standing categories for a couple of years, but there is more momentum going on within these categories, more dynamics, more development that is interesting, and they were more populated, seen across multiple stands across the show floor. And that's why we've selected beauty from within, longevity, GLP-1, of course, creatine, a little mention of delivery formats, and then some specific honorable mentions to look out for in the future. So without further ado, Weronika, if you're ready, let's dive right into the first topic, which is beauty from within. So, of course, beauty from within has been a category in the supplement space, a niche one, to be fair, for a long time. But 2026, at least to me, feels like really a milestone year for beauty from within. There's really been a massive increase in ingredients and finished product offering in the B2B space. There's also really big cosmetic beauty brands moving into supplements. We saw now for the first time in 2026, L'Oreal finally moving into supplements with their Vichy product launch with collagen. And of course, other beauty brands also making a big move into supplements. And this kind of resembles, in my view, what the pharma industry did, let's say 10, 15 years ago, seeking new revenue opportunities in supplements. And now the same shift is happening with the beauty industry. This is also reflected in exhibitions. We saw now at Vitafoods for the first time ever a dedicated Nutri-Cosmetics content track. And also at another exhibition, also organized by Informa in cosmetics, that was previously, that was held a few months before in Paris. For the first time ever at that show, there was a dedicated show floor segment with exhibitors that are active in the supplement space. So it's going both ways, basically. And another, let's say, indicator of this move in the industry is also very much felt by us, because PharmaLinea, as you might know, was acquired by the French group called Onjac in November last year. And this is a group of manufacturers that is very active in the cosmetic space, in the personal care space, and so forth. And basically, because a lot of clients, long-standing clients of the Onjac group, had new demand for supplements as well, a new company was added to the group, and this is PharmaLinea. So this is another indicator of this merger of the two industries, let's say. And incidentally, for PharmaLinea specifically as well, we, for the first time ever, now this year, launched a Beauty From Within supplement as well, a product concept called Your Hydromen Plus Collagen Sticks. And I can tell you this was really, really received very well. We had, of course, a lot of promotion surrounding it, but the response was really quite incredible. I can even tell you that the clients that have already launched your Hydromin sticks, our original SKU, let's say last year, are already lining up to launch this new product that is focusing on skin hydration specifically. So yeah, I mean, from personal experience, we can say there's a lot of dynamic in this space. But specifically for Vitafoods, in my view, and Veronica, you can share yours as well. I kindly invite you to. Is that the biggest specific for this year was that we saw hair everywhere, hair supplements, hair ingredients specifically, which to me was quite a surprise because this was really, really a niche previously. So, Veronica, in your view, hair, beauty from within, and specific ingredients, what's your call?
So hair really was everywhere. I've seen so many interesting ingredients in this sector, and let's just dive in because there's a lot. So one of them, Hair Inside by Active Inside. This is a combination of bamboo extract, selenium yeast, and green tea extract, and it promotes hair growth and it has this synergistic antioxidant action, which is really important because we need to protect hair from oxidative stress. Then there's another, Kio or Kio. I hope I'm not butchering this name, but from Pharma Active Biotech. And this is another plant extract from a rocket leaf that supports hair follicle function and growth. They also have clinical trial in the plant for this year, but for now they have this in vitro study showing that it really does support the hair follicles. The next I would mention Anur Tree Complex, which is a apple fruit concentrate from Anurca apples from Italy. This is a very specific variety of apple, and it has higher oligomeric proanthocyanidins compared to other varieties of apples. They say that this is the active that actually promotes the growth of epithelial cells, and this ingredient is also clinically studied. And
If I may,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, also this is an ingredient by the Martin Bauer group, and I saw that they also cleverly mentioned in their positioning also GLP-1 side effects. Of course, GLP-1 being one of the key topics of the recent years. Hair loss, which is one that I did not know, is one of the possible side effects also of GLP-1 drug use. And here, Martin Bauer also cleverly is mentioning GLP-1 users as a possible target audience.
Exactly. So another interesting use for this clinically supported ingredient. And then to move on, the next one, Keranat from Robertet. This one is not new. We know it for a couple of years, but it's a clinically supported ingredient with really robust results. Basically, they showed that in 12 weeks, there was a 50% decrease in hair loss compared to placebo, which is a quite nice result. And I think it has 2 published studies, and it's another ingredient to watch out.
To me, Veronica, sorry to interrupt you. To me, this one kind of stands out a little bit because I spoke to the people at Robertet, and the relevant factor I think for this product specifically, I mean for this ingredient specifically, is that the clinical data, the outcomes, the measured outcomes in the clinical studies are outcomes that are measured literally by dermatologists. So I think a lot of the times in the beauty segment specifically, there's a lot of clinical studies that focus on only self-reported outcomes, which are okay and of course a relevant piece of information, but perhaps sometimes, perhaps dermatologically gathered data could be a little bit more relevant. So I think this one, this is one thing that speaks to the quality of Keranat specifically.
Yeah, I totally agree. The objective parameters are always have more strength. Okay, then the next one, Erisara, another hair targeting ingredient. This one is also a botanical complex of rosemary, olive leaves, lemon verbena, and Sophora japonica. This ingredient, I believe, was previously positioned for skin pollution, but now they repositioned it for hair. And it's a really interesting ingredient. This one targets more scalp health, scalp balance. which is also great. And they got the Nutra Ingredients award this year in the Beauty from Within segment, which is also another plus for Resara.
Definitely, I think it might have contributed also to the fact which I learned when I spoke to them, that this was their second most demanded ingredient on their stand. Of course, the first one, metabolate, which we'll speak about later. But I think this also speaks volumes that the second most in demand ingredient at the show, at least for a company like Swan Nutra or Montelode, being a hair ingredient, says a lot.
Now we're moving from hair to another beauty sector, which is collagen. And there's a couple of interesting ingredients. So one is Gelter's Primacol, which is a collagen polypeptide, which is made with fermentation. This is also a clinically supported ingredient. And based on their clinical study on 170 women, they showed in 12 weeks of supplementation up to 92% of participants had improvements in skin firmness, elasticity, moisturization, and wrinkles. And the dosage here is much lower than with typical collagens that we see. It's only 1 or 2.5 grams daily.
So this is, since it's originating for fermentation, it's vegan, correct?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
So we spoke about vegan collagen as an incorrect term, or a controversial term at least, last year as well. Do you think there's been more development in this area specifically, or is it mainly on animal-derived collagen?
No, I believe that there are a couple of more ingredients, plant-based ingredients, and we're not talking only about the collagen, but it's more like a collagen alternative. So there's two options. One is collagen peptides, and the other one is collagen alternative with amino acids and some other plant extracts that I will mention also in the future. So another, this one is marine collagen tripeptide called Moricol by Dorcas Biotech. Again, a tripeptide, this was also one of the key words I saw in the Vitafoods this year. There's a lot of peptides, and especially these collagen peptides are really getting popular. This one is also effective at a lower dose, 1 to 2 grams, and this brings benefits compared to the conventional collagen, as I already mentioned.
Yeah, to me, this tripeptide concept is very interesting from a marketing perspective because the collagen market is huge, it's growing, and one of the best approaches, if you're not a complete radical innovator or like the first mover, but let's say an early adopter, is that you take a well-known ingredient, but a version of it, a new, slightly differentiated version of it that brings some benefit, but still can ride the wave of the recognition of that initial ingredient. So like tripeptides are the one that rang my bell for sure, and that's why we started looking into them. And I think there's still some work to be done on the science so that we understand the differences in the mechanisms as opposed to just general random, let's say, hydrolysates. And also, of course, then the vegan side, is something that I think is an interesting angle for companies that are looking to enter collagen, but always want some differentiation.
Yeah, you're right. Just one thing that I'm also interested in is what the European Commission will say about it, because all these new peptides, tripeptides, and polypeptides, and so on, they kind of sound like novel food. So we'll see how this goes. I hope that many of these ingredients do get the official approval, so that they can be used without problems in the Europe as well.
And Geltor was not Dolcas was not the only one showcasing tripeptides, right? So there were others, I believe.
True, yeah. There's Amicogen from South Korea. They also have this collagen tripep 20 ingredient, which has a high content of glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline amino acids. They have 11 preclinicals and clinicals, so they have really, really well supported ingredient. Their effects are seen after 6 weeks already, so this is a really great result. It's a 1 gram daily dose, and it has nice effects on skin hydration, wrinkles, elasticity, everything important when we're talking about the skin health.
Seeing the studies by Amicogen, I thought it was also an impressive array of studies already. As you said, 11. But the one thing that I was missing with the studies on the tripeptide was a direct comparison to, let's say, a general hydrolysate. That would be most interesting to me. What would be the direct comparison in efficacy? Because I've seen claims, not really, or like seemingly studies, but not really published ones that show a difference in absorption, supposedly, between tripeptides and a general hydrolysate, which may contain higher mass fragments as well, which is understandable. And you have a higher absorption with smaller fragments. But I'm interested to see in the difference in the actual functional efficacy in the end. So that to me would be the next step for companies like Amicogen or the Dolcas.
Yeah, well, for sure. I think I've seen only one study comparing these tripeptides with hydrolyzed collagen, like a regular one, and really showing a difference or like a superiority in absorption. So I think that these kind of studies are also would be really nice to have and to support the use of tripeptides, because they're really everywhere now, and we need the science behind it.
Definitely. Anything else on your list?
There's Viculel, which is, as I mentioned before, this is the vegan alternative to collagen. Again, clinically validated ingredient. I think very interesting concept compared to a lot of different collagen ingredients and collagen peptide ingredients.
Also included in Ringana's product that this year at Vitafoods won the Nutri-Ingredients Award. So also making waves there. All right. If that's...
I just have one honorable mention in the beauty sector. There were a lot, but I just chose this one. So it's the PDRN, or polydeoxyribonucleotide, which is a compound which was basically used in cosmetics and dermatology. I've seen it in the Korean beauty products a lot, but now I guess there we get an oral version of the ingredient, and it's coming to Europe. Again, here the novel food will probably be a challenge, but it's an interesting ingredient. It's basically a salmon sperm DNA, showing really good results in wound healing, anti-inflammatory, tissue repairing, anti-aging properties. So another one to watch out in the future.
Coming from a strong popularity in Korean cosmetics, I think is a very good base to start from. I mean, nowadays Korean cosmetics is really it's the trendsetter, I believe.
It is.
Even in European markets, everybody looks towards them. So coming from that base, I think could be a really good jump start for supplement use as well.
You're right.
All right, moving on towards the finished product. The finished products, I completely and totally focused on the hair products. Not intentionally, but those were the one that really stood out for me. Namely, Plameca, the Spanish company, has a hair product called Plamepil. And this one I'm mentioning it because it has actually a clinical study on the finished product, which is always something we love to see. And for a hair product to invest in a clinical study on the finished product, again, speaking volumes. They see really relevant results. I haven't had the chance to dive into actual details, but I just saw the highlight of plus 89% in total hair density, which seems very robust, but to be checked in the actual clinical study details. And they're not the only ones to showcase a finished product for hair health. Truffini and Regge, that's Italian private label provider, showcased 2 new products for hair health called Exo Hair. And they're interesting because they had 2 separate SKUs, one Exo Hair for men and one Exo Hair for women. And even more interesting because they're based on exosomes as the active ingredients. Now, I'm pretty sure that you will speak about exosomes later on because there was a launch event of a specific company at Vitafoods showcasing exosomes, and they seem to be already taking hold, specifically in the Italian market, because the other company that you're going to speak about is also Italian. So there seems to be something there. And also, I think notable that we have nowadays quite a few consumer-facing brands exhibiting at Vitafoods, which was not the case in the beginning. Of course, in the very beginning, it was mainly ingredient companies. Then came all the contract manufacturers, machinery, and so forth. And nowadays, we're seeing more and more examples of finished consumer-facing brands that are exhibiting as well, looking for distributors. And I thought it was very interesting that one of those was Bloom Robins, which is a Slovakian company that's completely dedicated to beauty from within, specifically hair growth, but also some spillover to skin and nails, but a really well-developed portfolio of hair supplements. So, and them exhibiting here, also an interesting piece of information. And also, to just round up the beauty from within segment, I think that the tasting center, if you saw it and tasted it, it was basically taken over by beauty from within products. I think the majority was beauty from within. And we even saw the big social media trend of morning olive shots. Olive and lemon, I believe, is the olive oil. Sorry, of course, olive oil shots and lemon. We even saw a representative of that trend at the tasting center. So I think it was a very, very rich offer of beauty from within, and we've been speaking about it for quite a while, actually. So this also really tells you a lot. So moving to the next topic, GLP-1, another huge buzzword at the event. I think an even bigger one than in 2025, obviously, because of all the developments in the industry. I think this is the four letters we might have seen most often in the whole event. And if in 2025 we might have had some ingredients that were tiptoeing around GLP-1 or repositioning around GLP-1, but not really having any data. Now we saw the transition to quite a few ingredients having data on their direct effect on GLP-1 levels in the body. But also, I think, a lot of GLP-1 washing. So, of course, whenever there is a trendy buzzword, which we'll also get to in the longevity segment, a lot of people want to, and companies want to piggyback their offering around it or on this train. And I think this is happening also with GLP-1, where we saw, some stands putting a huge GLP-1 sign on it, basically, and then the product offering itself was remotely related to some mechanism that could be possibly involved, or the product could possibly be involved in. So there's different stages of, let's say, quality of this communication, but nevertheless, let's focus on the good ones. I think we saw, or we can see in the industry, two possible approaches to this big GLP-1 category that has emerged because of the success of GLP-1 agonist drugs. And one is natural GLP-1 alternatives, natural GLP-1 drug alternatives. So supplements that are intended to increase GLP-1 hormone levels and work towards the same goal as the drugs like Ozempic are, but in a natural way. And I think that's, of course, a relevant and sound approach. However, I think that's the more difficult one. I think that's the tougher game to be played, especially because the previously relevant big challenges or hurdles of taking a GLP-1 drug, and this is injectable use, which is very inconvenient. It's not a nice user experience, and the very high price. They are basically starting to go away with the appearance of oral direct consumption of tablets, orally consumed, which are cheaper, and of course the user experience is much nicer. So there is much less of a drive, I think, for a natural alternative, for a supplement alternative that's orally ingested. But on the other hand, so competing with the efficacy of a pharmaceutical is always a difficult thing. It's always a scary challenge for a supplement to take on. And especially with GLP-1 drugs, I mean, they're so effective, and I think that with supplements we can hardly compare. So I think ingredients and products positioned as alternatives to taking a drug must really be careful with their positioning, because if you're directly saying this is a natural Ozempic, people will expect Ozempic efficacy, but a different source. So I think we really must position these products more holistically, more more focusing on, let's say, the gentle functionality of the supplement that doesn't produce so many side effects and so forth. And on the other hand, we have the other approach, which is GLP-1 companion supplements. So supplements that are countering all the side effects that come with the use of GLP-1 agonist drugs. So that is all kinds of malnutrition, deficiencies of vitamins and minerals, poor hydration, sagging skin, digestive side effects, bone density loss, muscle mass loss, and all kinds of different things. And this is the area that supplements are built for. This is what the supplements do, and I think it's much more convenient, easy, and safe if nothing else, to reposition, regroup, and create new offerings in that area. And we see this firsthand, actually. I thought that GLP-1 companion supplements would be something that we report in trend overviews and in podcasts and so forth, but it's a thing that will happen in America and maybe for the most part stay in America. But this year, the thing has radically changed. We're getting actual requests from many European pharmaceutical companies. We want GLP-1 companion supplements. So we have actually active projects going on in that area. And even our hydration supplement, which we speak about a lot, is relevant in the area, because I didn't know this at first, but with GLP-1 drug use, of course, there's vomiting, there's diarrhea, there's just the poor consumption of food and beverage, so dehydration is common, and even so, sugar-free hydration is, again, a very relevant supplement to take here. But Veronica, what's your view on these different approaches and the ingredients that are being shown at Vitafoods?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Basically, it will be really hard to compete with GLP-1 with the natural alternatives. But still, there are a lot of them. We have a range of ingredients that naturally boost GLP-1. And I believe that there still may be people that will not try the drugs for many different reasons. And maybe these ingredients can still address those people, or maybe for users that stop using the GLP-1 drugs and will then look into more natural alternatives, especially because there's like two groups of people. So there's a medicinal use of the GLP-1, and then there's also the more aesthetic or like a vanity use of the GLP-1, and maybe those will not take them for life, maybe just for a shorter period. And in this case, they might be interested in these natural alternatives after they stop using the drug. This is just my view of these ingredients. And let's just dive into them. There's a couple of them. Pheolics by Anagenics. They showed the effect on GLP-1 from their ingredient, which is the feijoa fruit powder. And they also have results for overall metabolic support, so not just GLP-1, but also satiety improvement, blood glucose, cholesterol, and other biomarkers. There's Reducose, which is a white mulberry leaf extract. They also show the increased GLP-1 after eating. And besides the improved glucose and improved insulin response. There is a metabolate, which is a blend of lemon verbena and hibiscus. This complex of extract was designed for weight management, and it also showed boosting of GLP-1 and improving energy metabolism. They also got the Vitafood Innovation Award this year in the weight management category. There's another one, Capsimax, which is also showed that to increase GLP-1 while also improving the exercise performance, and Gut Guard, which stimulates the natural GLP-1 production and also supports general gut health, which is also one of, so gut dysbiosis, gut issues are also one of the side effects of using GLP-1 drugs. And then there's this other group that you also talked about. So it's the GLP-1 user support, so like a companion ingredient, not a GLP-1 boosting ingredient, which is Leonara by HDBA. And this is combining the active forms of vitamin B12 and citrus bioflavonoids, which together support the lean muscles. So they reduce the lean muscle loss and improve energy levels and fatigue, which are both really prominent side effects of GLP-1 drugs as well.
Do they have clinical data on actual GLP-1 drug users?
Um, no, it's not on GLP-1 drug users, I believe. It's healthy people.
Mm-hmm. That would be the interesting next step.
Sure.
I think there are some existing products that I fail to remember at the moment, ingredients, of course, that have data for GLP-1 drug users specifically, but I think they're limited to maybe 3 or 4 max that I know. So that's, I think, the next step for sure for ingredients that want to position themselves for, countering GLP-1 side effects is Digexin is one of them. Digexin, I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced, but I know that's one of them, and there should be a couple more that have the data there.
I'll need to check this study again because I don't remember 100% sure. Maybe there were some included, but as far as I know, there's not that many clinical studies on like food supplement on GLP-1 users population. So this is probably needs to be thought of in the future because, of course, if we want to use supplements together with the drugs, there need to be proper clinical studies done.
Understandably, there hasn't been so much time, to be fair, yet to see that this area is interesting, then invest in the clinical study, do it properly, get the results, publish them, and so forth. So we can still give it a little bit more time. In terms of the finished products, I would like to highlight TCI's GLP-1 formula. Why? Because it actually has a clinical trial on the finished product, which was just published now in February 2026, showing a reduction in appetite and also an increase in GLP-1 levels. So I think that's a very interesting finished product. It comes in a liquid shot. On the other hand, we saw at the new product zone from the French company Laboratoire PYC, a product called GLP-1 Slim Plus. It is developed around one of their I think patented complexes combining hibiscus and lemon verbena, and this ingredient has several clinical studies on appetite and metabolic balance, and then they produced also a finished product which is positioned towards GLP-1 and slimming. I was quite surprised at the lack or a low incidence of GLP-1 companion supplements, finished products that would be positioned toward countering side effects of GLP-1 drug use. The only one that I saw personally was by the company Aurvita, or the group of companies Aurvita, which was a finished product with protein and fiber specifically intended for during weight loss. So that was the only one that I saw, and I'm expecting in the next steps, in the next years, for more dedicated offering to appear on the show floor for GLP-1 companion products. And I hope that eventually we'll have, of course, more ingredients that are clinically proven on the very specific target audience of GLP-1 drug users. And then also, eventually, as a final step, cherry on top, finished products that are clinically proven for GLP-1 drug users. If we have unspecific and clinically unproven products, or clinically proven but not on the right target population, I think then the GLP-1 companions as a category is at risk of becoming just another umbrella term, because you can bunch everything in there. You can put in vitamins, minerals, hydration, fiber, protein, everything. So it can easily become just an empty marketing word in the end. And I hope we as an industry don't do that in this case. So moving onward to the next topic, which is longevity, which I think has become, at least this year at the show floor, a very general umbrella term, because you can bunch anything and everything under that term. Everything the supplement industry is doing is basically to working towards longevity, working towards a healthier life and health span. So I think a lot of the companies are just, of course, using the trendy word, and showcasing much of the same, more of the same offering that they had previously. Nothing really new. I think the only newer, fresher category that's appearing and has the most exciting development. Of course, there's exciting development under joint health and cognitive decline and everything. But that's, I mean, it's been there for a longer time. The newer aspect that I'm more interested in is cellular health. And I think we'll be focusing a little bit more on the cellular health offering that we've seen at Vitafoods. And Veronica, you can take it away with the ingredient innovations.
Yeah, so if we're really focusing on the cellular level of longevity, not just general, then I would point out FFarm. They showcase their multiple ingredients, all of them like basic key ingredients when we're talking about cellular health, cellular longevity, which is NMN, ergothioneine, spermidine, fisetin. So their Youthever NMN is actually world's first clinically proven branded NMN. This is their claim, and they also have the EFSA application for the novel food authorization underway. I believe that it's in the final stages, so this is also one of the interesting things that we hope to see in the near future. The ingredient is clinically studied. They show 38% increase in NAD plus levels, also increasing quality of life and endurance and so on. They really have a great portfolio of this cellular longevity ingredients to watch out. Then the next one is Puredia's Cyantox, which has also been nominated for Vitafoods Award. This is a sea buckthorn extract, and it's really potent antioxidant for anti-aging. It is rich in quercetin, which is also another very well-known ingredient. It has other polyphenolic compounds, and it's addressing exactly what we're talking about. So cellular health, cellular renewal, regeneration. This is what we want to see, and we expect results from the studies in the future as well. And there's another one. This one is emerging as far as I know. This is the first time I've seen it at Vitafoods. It's called 1-methylnicotinamide, or 1-MNA, and it's a metabolite of vitamin B3. Another really promising molecule for longevity, but it needs more science, it needs more clinical studies, and of course, it needs to go through the European Commission approval as a novel food.
As always. On the finished product side, there was a lot of offering, and some were leveraging more the user experience with a leaner formulation. One such I would like to highlight is Celio's offering. They had this whole I'm sorry for not saying this correctly, longevity platform, where they were showcasing a lot of different concepts. And the one that stood out for me was the NADH ergothioneine vitamin C combination in a neat small stick pack with their snow melt technology. So that one is a nice combination of like a couple of hero ingredients and a nice user experience. And then we had also some more complex formulation that aimed to address multiple more hallmarks of aging. One such was from Good Routine. They have a pretty comprehensive formula with PQQ, carnosine, fisetin, spermidine, apigenin, transresveratrol, and this is targeting, according to them, 9 hallmarks of aging. So that's a different approach. That's a little bit more complex, probably a lot more costly as well. But this is something we see in the market as well. There are, biohackers that know all of these ingredients and will potentially go for it. I mean, the ultimate example of this is IM8's latest launch that is longevity focused. It's not the all-in-one, but the other SKU that they have that is longevity focused, that is now in the stick pack because it has so many ingredients in such quantities, and the cost is astronomical for that one. It's $20 or so for a stick pack, for a one-time purchase for one stick pack. So these things can go really, really high. And my doubt always, or question always with these products is, do they bring enough to the consumer that this category will survive the hype cycle? So of course there is a momentum and there is a hype. There's a lot of talk about it in all kinds of media, in all kinds of podcasts, in all kinds of social media, even Netflix and so forth. And there's trendy ingredients like NAD, NADH, NMN, and so forth. But these things are really expensive. And the final, ultimate functional outcome that we want is, of course, longevity, which will take forever until it can be proven in vivo in humans that these things have an effect. So right for now, all we can rely on is indicators like higher NAD levels in the blood, things like increased energy, which actually I was surprised to see that FA NMNH ingredient showed good results for. They showed a 35% increase in energy clinically, which I think is already quite relevant, if that's really so. But the question is, yeah, when the hype is gone, when all this intensive media promotion is gone, will this scientific support on these intermediate outcomes that are not yet the final outcome, but just these intermediate indicators of the product efficacy, will they be enough to sustain this category? Because right now I feel that it's mostly hot keywords, hot ingredients like the NADs and so forth that I mentioned. The label is there, it's in the product, but that's about all. There is less of a story and less of a issue that we're clearly solving with the product, with functional clinical human outcomes. So what's your view on that, Veronica?
Yeah, I agree. I think we need a holistic approach when we're talking about longevity, and for sure the clinical support on a finished product. So now we have these hero ingredients, and there's science behind them, but we need to show that they work, especially when you put all of them together. And we need good biomarkers to conduct proper clinical studies that will actually show the results that we want, so that the science behind this longevity product will have some standing, so that it will not just be something vague, but really show the effect in biomarkers, in objective biomarkers, not just like feeling well or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps moving on from a really complex topic that is more of a conundrum to a really straightforward one, which I think is super refreshing. I think the freshest category of the year, the highest breakout category in my view of Vitafoods 2026. This is creatine. Much more straightforward, much more simple. A really nice trend. I love speaking about it because it's easy. We have the solution available. It's well clinically documented, really well. I love it when a trend that's, of course, fueled by social media is backed up by a lot of clinical data. And it's just experiencing this really nice expansion of the target audience, from gym bros and just muscle building to all targets populations and all kinds of functional outcomes. Creatine, as you all know, is becoming, I think, like a next magnesium or next vitamin C or D or something like this. And we actually spoke about it in a previous podcast with Mr. Scott Dicker from Spins. We showed a lot of interesting data there. So we'll leave the market trend for a little bit and just focus on what we saw on the show floor. Specifically, we also launched a product I mentioned before. Another SKU in our Hydromin line was Hydromin plus collagen. The next one is Hydromin plus creatine. And again, we saw really a lot of interest in this area. People are looking at the creatine category. They want to address it. They feel like they need to address it because basically any brand's target audience is fit for creatine nowadays with all the data. So they're looking at, okay, what can we do? What's different? What's interesting out there? So we're not just another creatine jar that's competing in price, because that's impossible. Creatine monohydrate bulk powders are the cheapest thing in the world, and it's really tough to compete there. So what can you do? And one possible thing is combining into different interesting formulations. And a combination of hydration plus creatine, if I might say so, is one of those. We saw a lot of positive feedback on that. Whereas on the ingredient level, the innovation, I think, is really hard, because creatine monohydrate is the alpha omega here. It's very well researched. It's bioavailable. It has the only deficit it has is in the user experience because it's not very well soluble. The big powders in big quantities are hard to dissolve. They're hard to take directly. They're hard to take in many gummies or many soft chews. So that's, I think, the user experience is the main thing that we can play with here. But in the ingredient innovation, perhaps there is something to work in, and I'm interested to see what you noticed in terms of the ingredients in creatine.
Yes, so in the creatine sector, there are quite a lot of ingredients, and all of them, I think that they are trying to improve what is left. So, solubility, user experience, as you mentioned, and also stability. I have this list of interesting ingredients from this Vitafoods. So one is creatine, which is a micronized creatine monohydrate from Taiwan, MCB Biotechnology. And they use a kasha gum-based hydrogel encapsulation. And then they buffer it with magnesium to increase the pH value and with this enhance creatine stability. So this is a really interesting way to add some value, improve a basic creatine ingredient.
I
There,
saw these. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I saw these videos they were showing also that of the solubility. That's also one of their key uh, selling propositions. That because of this hydrogel encapsulation, there's an improved solubility. We also have samples, and I'm looking forward to test those to see if there's an actually increased solubility. So interesting approach. But as you said, yeah, most of them competing basically on either purity or solubility or both. But this one seems to be a bit different, but to be checked if what's behind that.
yeah, I really want to check the sample as well. So the next one, creatine from Molecules Biolabs, which is also another creatine with improved solubility and stability. The details of what technology they use, I don't have right now, but I'm sure that they have some innovative approach as well. There's a Cura creatine, which is another ultra high purity and high solubility creatine. So again, another approach to improve the solubility and even purity of the ingredient. There's N-creatine from Encapsify Life Sciences. This one is a little bit different because they combine it with other ingredients like L-carnosine and sunflower extract, and they position it more for brain energy. So we know that creatine is now went from the muscle support and performance to other areas, and brain or brain health, cognitive health is one of them, and I think this is really interesting as well. And we're of course looking forward to the clinical studies that would support using it for this indication as well. There's also Crea Boost, Crea Pure. They all have this pure, high purity, high solubility claims. Also OptiCreatine and Creatine Magna Power, which are again combining creatine with magnesium. So interesting evolution of a simple molecule, just like creatine here. And there's another one. This is a finished product that I saw at the fair. It's a Clona Pure by Tradichem. And they basically use like a synergistic complex of creatine monohydrate and phosphocreatine, and then there's also phosphate salts. They call it a next generation trimolecular complex. And they claim that there is no loading phase needed for this combination of creatine. So I look forward to seeing what this is about, and maybe they have some interesting science behind it. So I have yet to see it.
A similar approach of combining creatine with other forms, or let's say even precursors in this case, is GAA-teen by Carnomed. It's a Serbian company. This is a consumer-facing product. It's also possibly B2B finished product in any case that combines creatine monohydrate with guanidinoacetic GAA, guanidinoacetic acid. This is a natural precursor of creatine, and their dual approach is supposed to, of course, provide creatine direct intake, but also supports the body's own synthesis of creatine, which should help creatine availability in muscle and brain tissue, according to them. They actually have a clinical study that was published showing that the regular creatine monohydrate increases muscle creatine levels by about 2%, whereas their finished product, increases it by 16.9%. And also in the brain, so in the gray brain matter, their product leads to 3.9 times more creatine than conventional creatine monohydrate, which are very, very interesting results. However, because we're in Europe, comes the classic however of GAA actually not being approved by EFSA for the moment in Europe. It's not approved for food supplements. It's only for animal feed. And there is some human studies showing concerning side effects of homocysteine levels increasing with GAA supplementation. So it is a little bit controversial about the safety, and I feel a little bit strange that it became a NutraIngredients Award finalist this year, since it's the NutraIngredients Awards. I would assume that something that doesn't have approved safety would be a little bit sidetracked, but in the end they managed to get a finalist position. But in any case, if it is, of course we know that EFSA can be a little bit slow with these things, and if it is a safe approach in the end, it is definitely an interesting one because of the data that they showed. But most of the finished product actually, as is understandable, works around, and in this, what we saw at the show floor as well, works around the user experience. Because, as we know, big quantities, hardly soluble. The gym bros are used to taking it with a spoon and washing it down with water. But for the new audiences taking creatine, elderly, women, everybody, we need a different user experience, me included. And so there are, of course, a lot of gummies. There were a lot of gummies on the show floor. And some of them actually went up to a dosage of 1.5 creatine and 1.5 grams of creatine per gummy, which I think is in the end not bad. This is something that's already doable, like 2 gummies per day. It's not so bad. This was done by Sirio, but also by Yi Chao from China. They have basically a creatine gummy that is apparently their bestseller in their sports nutrition portfolio now. And they have soft chews, which they showcased at the New Product Zone as well, which have an even better load, and that's 2.5 grams per soft chew. And same was achieved by Catalent. And now that's actually already quite doable quantities, I believe, and something to look forward to, of course, provided that the stability is there, which we know from all the controversies, creatine gummies and soft chews have failed tests big time before. So stability is a prerequisite to work there. Moving on to hydration, our favorite topic, of course. Here I will share with you some of the data that we collected through our speaking to leads on our stand. We try to record as many conversations as we can, not record audio-wise, but make notes of what we spoke about after the event. And it will perhaps not surprise you that most of the conversations on our stand were about hydration, because, of course, we were promoting it heavily with a hydration bar and a hydration lab in the other hall and so forth. But still, the number here surprised even myself. So 39% of conversations were about hydration. And the next biggest topic was iron, which of course is one of our product lines that we also heavily promote, was at 12%. So the gap is really big. 39% of conversations were about hydration. And of course, it is a consequence of our promotion, but I think you cannot have the conversation if a person is not interested. So I think it does speak to the interest of people. And I had several questions and conversations about, is hydration really so relevant? Or is it a thing we're pushing on to consumers and they actually don't need it? There was some doubts about, do people really need hydration products, or should the category stay a product for sports and for serious diarrhea? And our recommendation for the product, for our product, your Hydromin line, is never, you should take this every day, all day. Everybody should take it, no matter what their drinking habits, their nutrition is. No, of course, if you consume enough water, if you consume enough salts, you do not need to supplement with a hydration product. as is always the case with supplements. If you have your nutrition rounded up perfectly, you do not need supplements, of course. But because of our lifestyle, um, malnutrition and malhydration is often the case. And here, supplements do come in as a handy support. And these situations for hydration are busy lifestyle, heat, alcohol consumption, diseases, sports, of course, things like this. And they are very common situations. And in fact, a lot of people are dehydrated on a regular basis. And we actually showed this through data collected at the event. I don't know if you all saw this, but we had a separate stand or an activation in a different hall, in hall 6, apart from our regular stand. We called it the hydration lab. I hope many of you got the chance to take part in it. And we were measuring people's hydration levels over there with a specific, very advanced MX3 lab hydration measurement device. It's a saliva test, state of the art, the best device there is for measuring acute um, current hydration levels. It's used by the best cycling teams and so forth. And the results are quite fascinating. I was expecting that some people would be dehydrated at the event, particularly because, I mean, it's a busy day. You're just running around from meeting to meeting, from stand to stand. You don't remember to drink. And of course, then after Tuesday, Wednesday, there are some parties involved as well, and that might contribute to the dehydration levels. But in fact, we found that over half, 52% of the people that we measured were dehydrated. So this speaks to the topic I was describing before. In practice, we are often dehydrated, and hydration products are, in fact, relevant for the general population. And we're seeing a similar expansion of the target audience as we are with creatine. And here, ingredient innovation is again very difficult. There are, of course, some advanced minerals you can take. Some brands include some whole fruit ingredients inside that have like coconut ingredients or something like this that have high potassium levels and so forth, if they want to go with a more natural approach. But mostly it's finished products that were being exhibited, a lot of them at the tasting center, about 3 or 4, and most are very basic. Most are exactly the same electrolyte plus sugar formulation. Some go sugar-free, but of course neglect the fact that sugar was there for a reason. So I didn't see much in formulation innovation, except for perhaps the combinations with creatine, where of course we took part, but also another company, if I'm not mistaken, Veronica.
Yes, there was another one, but I don't remember now.
Future Nutrition, I believe. Another
Yeah.
one that saw the opportunity of creatine and electrolytes combined, and it does make sense to combine them. And there was, of course, also some format innovation.
Yeah. So besides all the beverages and effervescents, which I think are already known on the market, this time I saw electrolyte gummy bar, and another one that is also interesting, also because of our product as well. So the reduced sugar hydration drink. I think that now many companies are also moving in the direction of sugar-free hydration, which goes with the story of taking the hydration products more regularly every day in everyday situations, not just during sports or whatever, but in for example, when you're at the fair, when you're traveling, when you're at the office and you don't have much time to really eat and drink properly and so on. So reduced sugar is surely the way to go when we're talking about hydration in everyday use.
I completely agree, and I think the visitors of the show also agree, showcasing, really expressing interest in that area. One other interesting delivery format that I saw on our neighboring stand was by Sanotac. This was hydration ice pops. So basically the liquid that you just freeze and consume as an ice pop, which is also a nice idea. Why not?
Nice.
Speaking of delivery formats, let's focus on that as a topic individually. Veronica, I believe you saw some interesting delivery technologies, delivery formats that you would like to mention.
Yeah, I was surprised by this is a finished product. It's a liquid calcium sticks. Usually we have calcium in either tablets or capsules or powders. I think liquid sticks are very innovative and also maybe interesting for people that do not like the powdery and pill-like product formats. There were a lot of bidlets of all shapes and forms. I think this is also a new direction in the for many ingredients to improve the bioavailability or the delivery into the system, but also from the organoleptic perspective, I guess. There was a new term inside, so we're moving from liposomals and other somals to niosomals or niosomes, which are unlike liposomes, which are made from phospholipids. These ones are made from non-ionic surfactants and cholesterol. So, based on the claims from the company that makes them, they are more chemically stable and also more cost effective. So, I guess we're getting a lot of new um, liposome like ingredients with new terms and I guess using new technologies uh, to innovate this sector area.
Yeah, this delivery format. Yeah, I agree. As always is the case, when something's in trend, liposomes, people look for brands look for a slight differentiation in the area, something that's a liposome but improved. So riding the wave, having a difference. I've seen this as well. We know of the very, very well-known example of sucrosomial ingredients by PharmaNutra. So, and others as well. Improving liposomes, especially their stability, I think is an interesting way to go definitely forward.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of liposomal products, also finished products in liquid formats, also at the tasting center. And I thought it was really interesting with the tasting center this year that it was mostly liquids, really. A lot of liquids were at this tasting center, which I haven't seen before. I think they were really overrepresented or highly represented this year. So, I mean, that's encouraging to me as well. I really think liquids have a good place in the supplement industry, and they're a really nice delivery format as long as we can provide stability, of course. But one interesting one that I saw previously only in Asia, really popular in Asia, is these bottle caps that you put on a regular water bottle that have a powder inside, and once you spin it or push it, a powder drops inside, and then you get a ready-to-drink product. This I've seen in Asian markets, also in convenience stores, either in the fridge, of course, screwed on top of a product that has, of course, water, but increasingly these years also at the counter where you're picking chewing gum and maybe some stick packs, and then also these kind of bottle caps as a convenience product with either collagen inside or some caffeine and things like these. And I think this is a convenient format also for products that we want to offer to people on the go in convenience stores like, I don't know, 7-Elevens and so forth, all these type of stores. But they have an issue with stability, let's say. So, for example, creatine, I think, would be a really readily available one like that, because, of course, we know that creatine in liquid, highly unstable, may transform into creatinine, and having it in a cap that you then can directly consume, I think, is a really nice solution. We saw now at Vitafoods Europe some companies highlighting this product form, namely Goodwill Pharma from Serbia. They were promoting their Fortacell ready-to-drink format. So I thought that was interesting that it's making its move into Europe, and I hope it catches on. It's a fun format, definitely. And then, of course, there were a variety of food-like formats. The foodification of supplements is still an ongoing thing. The ice pops, the fizzy bits, the chocolate-like bites, the drink caps, and so forth. This trend continues, and it will continue for sure in the future. And now for our last topic. We always include in this podcast, well, always, the one time that we had it before, we include this kind of honorable mentions section where we have various ingredients or technologies or interesting phenomena that do not fit anywhere else into a bigger topic. So we kind of have this miscellaneous segment in the end. And it's often also the ones that we think are worth looking out for in the future because they are promising, but just up and coming, let's say. So Veronica, take it away with the honorable mentions.
Yeah. So I choose first. I choose choline, and the company New Mega Ingredients. They are mostly known for their omega-3 ingredients, but now they have this patent pending powder choline with 50% load. So they claim this it's a much higher load than the usual cholines, and it also has lower hygroscopicity, which is another problem or challenge that choline brings when we're formulating the products. And it's choline is a known ingredient. It's been here for a long time, but it's really great to see the innovation also in the ingredients that have seemingly nowhere to go with innovation. So choline has a lot of technical issues because of its properties, and probably also because of that, there's not many choline products or good choline products on the markets. And I think also because of that, it's great to see innovation in this area, especially because it's been known now for a while that choline deficiency is actually present during the entire lifespan, and many people need it. So not just pregnant women or children, which is the most known use of choline, but yeah, everyone needs it. So I think the innovation in this sector is great. There's also exosomes. Mateusz, you mentioned them before. This is a new technology. It's basically it's the extracellular nanovesicles, which have potential health benefits. And what they are basically like a message bubbles that cells send to each other, and they can contain proteins, fats, RNA, or other molecules. And the company Curevia, they launched uh, a couple of these of ingredients with exosomes from several plants for several indications, including cholesterol. So exosomes really are a new technology, new natural delivery system that might prove to be very successful and to bring new innovation in the food supplement sector.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like the fact that it's derived from plants directly. It's existing mechanism they use to message um, internally, let's say. And I'm interested to see how this will go regulatory wise. I mean, it has potential. So it's a different way of extracting plants that we've been using for centuries, for sure. And I think the one that's addressing cholesterol is probably very fit for the coming years in the Italian market, because specifically there they will be having a monocholine K ban, and the cholesterol market is basically all the market leaders are based on monocholine K. So I think the new active ingredient will be highly welcome there in the Italian market.
And I have another one, which is called the Rubio, and it's a new technology to enhance omega-3. So again, omega-3, very well known, strongly standing ingredient. Um, but there's again challenges that need to be overcome with omega-3, and with Rubio, they bond omega-3 together with phospholipids, and they claim that this enhances absorption of the omega-3. They also have a pilot clinical data to show the improved triglycerides levels. So it's still a pilot study. There will be a need for more clinical studies, of course, um, to uh, to claim anything more. But I think it's an interesting technology or an interesting concept to improve the omega 3s. And let's wait to see what comes from that.
No, I agree. Whenever there's a really well-established category, a well-established ingredient, finding some innovation in the way it's bound, delivered, and so forth, enhancing the bioavailability, always a super interesting concept that's readily marketed, in my view. And I'll finish it off then with just two things that I didn't see, and this surprised me. So honorable mentions that we didn't see so much of was firstly colostrum. I think, I mean, the recent data that we've been seeing from Spins and also other market intelligence providers that show really high growth spikes of sellout of colostrum products in the US. There's been a really big trend, basically a revival of colostrum in the US. This hasn't yet spilled over, at least, or hasn't shown in this year's Vitafoods Europe, in my view. There's, of course, at least one company, which is Colostrum Biotech, which is focused on colostrum, and obviously they were promoting their colostrum products, specifically a stick pack with colostrum and lactoferrin. But I was expecting perhaps to see or hear a little bit more about it, given the big growth data coming from the US. Of course, I'm not claiming this trend is here to stay. It might be a fleeting revival of colostrum, but still interesting if we see it perhaps next year. And the second thing is all-in-one products. So we all know of the success of AG1, of IM8. These are like breaking all sorts of records of most successful, most sold, highest growing, fastest growing supplement brands of all time. Grüns, again, another example, a little bit fewer ingredients than IM8 and AG1 because it's in a gummy, but still all-in-one product, just sold out for $2 billion. Huel, a little bit different because it's also a protein meal or a meal replacement. Again, sold out for $2 billion in the past couple of months. So I was actually expecting a little bit more of a focused, dedicated finished product offer in that area, but perhaps we'll see more of that in the future at next year's Vitafoods and at next year's Post Vitafoods podcast with myself and Veronica, hopefully still sitting in these chairs. So thank you very much, Veronica, very much
Thank
for
you
your
for having me.
insights. And thank you to the audience. And we'll see you at the next Neutral Loop podcast by PharmaLinea. Bye-bye.
Bye.